Welcome back to Gridiron Fantasy. I'm your host, Carmen, and along with me is Keeghan Fisher. And today we have a quarterback rankings episode for you. We are ranking every quarterback 32 through 26, 25 through 21, 20 through 16, 15 through 11, 10 through 6, and then finally 5 through 1. Every single starting quarterback. And as for the quarterback competitions out there, we're just going to assume the current starter is the starter for the rest of training camp until the season starts. So yeah, let's get into it. Would you like to present your 32 through 26?
All right. I have Mason Rudolph at 32, Tyler Hill at 31, Joe Flacco at 30, 29 I have Jay McCarthy, 28 I have Michael Penix Jr., 27 I have Anthony Richardson, and 26 I have Sam Darnold.
All right. As for me, at 32 I have Mason Rudolph, 31 I have Tyler Shuck, 30 I have Anthony Richardson, 29 I have Joe Flacco, 28 I have J.J. McCarthy, 27 I have Cameron Ward, 26 I have Michael Penix Jr.
So you're being serious about the 26? I mean, not 27, but Cam Ward.
Yeah, Cam Ward is at my 27.
Well, I'm gonna need you to talk about that one. That's not a good pick to me.
Well, Cam Ward, while he is the number one overall pick, and I think he's going to be a great quarterback as he continues to develop, I think his current situation is kind of dangerous. I mean, there's a guaranteed running game. While it's not efficient, there's still Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears. And as for his receiving group, it's kind of lackluster. He's got Calvin Ridley, maybe Tyler Lockett, but he's severely worn down from what his prime was. And Calvin Ridley isn't even close to the best wide receiver one out there. And then the blocking in general as well. The O-line, there's some very visible needs. And like even the tight end that's supposed to help out blocking occasionally, he doesn't really have a good tight end either.
But
He
that
just doesn't
Miami
really have weapons around him.
I'm telling you, that Miami connection is going to play a role deeper into the season. Like, think about Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase. Yes, Jamar Chase is better, but we can still say the reason that they're so good together is also because they had that chemistry from LSU. All I'm saying is Xavier Restrepo, he may have gone undrafted. Cam Ward asked the Titans to pick him up for a reason. I mean, so I'm sure that it's going to be a good connection.
I mean, I understand that, but then again, the comparison to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase is kind of crazy. Because Jamar Chase was a top 5 pick.
I'm not comparing them. What I'm saying is I'm using them as an example of the chemistry.
I think there will be chemistry, sure, but still, Xavier Restrepo, he's an undrafted free agent. That means 32 teams passed on him over 215 times. And also, he ran a 4.8 40, and that kind of speed isn't really going to cut it as a wide receiver in the NFL.
With the Kurt quad.
Especially when you're a slot receiver that's a little undersized.
That's also with the quad injury. Throwing that out there.
Yeah, but that means we also don't really know what his true speed is either.
That's what we just have to figure it out as time goes along.
Yeah, I guess. But I can see Cameron Ward developing, becoming a top 15 quarterback, hopefully. But right now, I just don't think he's in a position to succeed. Would you mind repeating your 32 through 26 for me?
So I had Mason Rudolph, Tyler Hill, Joe Flacco, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr., Anthony Richardson, and Sam Darnold.
All right, so while I did have Sam Darnold a little bit higher, actually quite a bit higher, I think I would like for you to break him down because he had a breakout year last year. Why are we lower on him this year?
I mean, he had Justin Jefferson. Throw it up. Justin Jefferson's down there somewhere. Jordan Addison's also there. T.J. Hockenson came in later in the season. Aaron Jones is a good receiving running back. He had so many pieces around that. Like, I think now he's going to the Seahawks. Not that, Jackson Smith
and
Jigba isn't like. I'm not saying he's bad or anything, but like it's not Justin Jefferson, so I just don't see him being as good as he was last year.
And I mean, he's Cooper Kupp too, and Kenneth Walker.
But I see the Jets, Sam Darnold showing up. We saw what he did in that playoff game.
That's true.
I don't care what we want to say about the O-line because he had the same O-line all year, so we don't want to use that excuse. But he was holding on to the ball too long. So we look at the 2 times he performed under pressure. The Lions to win the seeding of the
to win the division.
And then also get a bye week, and then we saw what he did against the Rams in the playoffs. So I just don't see Sam Darnold being anything special. I think he could decrease a little bit this year.
I do agree that he will have a downplay in performance because he doesn't have as better weapons, but I still think he'll perform better than at least 10 quarterbacks maybe. So I do have him in my next group, but I can see where you're coming from. Sam Darnold, when playing under pressure, did not seem to perform the greatest through many turnover-worthy plays, and now he's in a new environment with new receivers and not enough time to develop an insane chemistry like he did with Justin Jefferson, who you could just throw down there, or Jordan Addison, who's got that incredible speed. So, yeah, I see where you're coming from. I do like Sam Darnold being a little bit lower. I don't know about that low. All right. 25 through 21.
I have Geno Smith at 25, Drake May at 24, Russell Wilson at 23, Tua at 22, and Trevor Lawrence at 21.
All right. As for me, I had Geno Smith at 25. I had Russell Wilson at 24, Bryce Young at 23, Sam Darnold at 22, and Tua at 21.
Thinking of someone, probably Russell Wilson is who I would want you to talk about.
I mean, I do believe we're in similar positions on him, but I do feel like he's someone worth discussing because they took Jackson Dart in the first round, and you don't really take a first-round quarterback just to let him sit behind old quarterbacks. And I think it's great that you pointed him out because the reason I didn't have him higher, even though he does show that he's pretty good, and he has Malik Neighbors to throw to, Wan'Dale Robinson, and kind of a lackluster run game, so he's kind of got to throw the ball. I just think that in time, they're going to throw Jackson Dart in there, so he's not going to get as many reps, which would be bad for fantasy purposes, so I had Russell Wilson lower.
I just wanted to see if you had, sort of the same thinking I had. I just think that Russell Wilson, he wasn't bad last year, but I just don't see him being able to produce a bunch of numbers this year.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Drake May, Jacoby Brissett kind of
That's how I feel like it is. I think they're just trying to progress. And Dart, keep in mind, Dart has been doing absolutely great in all the rookie camps and whatever camp they're in now. I don't keep up with.
It's still OTAs.
Okay, yeah, optional workouts, I think, or whatever it is. All I know is Dart has been performing really good.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And yeah, would you mind repeating your 25 through 21?
I had Geno Smith, and then I had Drake May, and then Wilson, Tua, and Trevor.
All right, so I want you to break down Drake May for me, just because he's not exactly in my group, but I'm a little bit higher on him than you.
Drake May, yeah, he's good, but I also don't see a big progression this year. I think next year will be the year because we don't know how Diggs is going to come back and play after a torn ACL. We don't know. It's the we don't know type questions.
Yeah, that's the reason I put him so low as well.
He doesn't have someone who we know is going to come out there and perform at receiver. He doesn't have that good of a running back. Ramondre Stevenson may have been a 1 year wonder, if I'm going to be honest. Last year,
they drafted Trevion Henderson.
I'm not high on him either.
Oh.
I think Quinshawn Judkins, he took all those carries away, and he was one I felt like he was leading.
Well, personally, I do agree. Drake May does have some questionable options as pass catchers, so I'm concerned that he may not perform as well. However, he did show a lot of promise in his rookie season, whether it be his rushing aspect or his ability to throw to receivers, whether they are good or bad. So I think that Drake May is going to do pretty well. Not top 15 caliber, but I still think he's going to do just fine. And hopefully, Stephon Diggs could at least play not how he was with the Bills, but maybe how he was with the Texans before he got hurt.
Yep.
So let's go through our 20 through 16.
I'm at 20. I had Dak Prescott.
Wow.
Yep. Surprising pick there. 19, I had Bryce Young. 18, I had Matthew Stafford. 17, Jordan Love. And at my 16, I had Caleb Williams.
He had Jordan Love at 17.
Yep.
But he also had Dak Prescott at 20. While I do get the argument for Dak Prescott being lower, I would like you to break him down because I do have him within my top 15. So I would like you to break him down for me.
Yes, he has CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, but as we've gone with most of these years lately, injuries. We've seen a lot of injuries, and with that, we've also seen him not play his best football. Throw a lot of interceptions. He's not at his best right now. So I don't want to overput him after what he's shown us the past couple, like maybe 2 years. I think Dak's a great quarterback. I like him personally. I've been liking him since I was a kid, but I just don't think I could put him higher because of that aspect.
I mean, I do believe injuries are concerned. However, they really don't have a running game. Javonte Williams isn't really a good RB1. And he has plenty of weapons. He has Jalen Tolbert at the 3. He has George Pickens at the 2. And then CeeDee Lamb, of course, at the 1. And then they also have a serviceable tight end at Jake Ferguson.
But, as I said, injuries.
Injuries are a concern.
That's my biggest worry with him. And I can explain Jordan Love.
So I think Dak Prescott, I would like you to cover him after we finish Dak Prescott. But, Dak Prescott, before he was hurt, he was the QB3 in the 2023 season. And I feel like if he's able to fully recover, he could go back to that since he has additional weapons than he did before. And that's why I have him higher.
Yeah, as I said, it's just if he can stay healthy this year.
You just got to be wary of the potential threat. But if you're looking for a high upside QB, maybe a QB2 for the bye week, I think Dak Prescott would be an excellent addition to your team.
And this is fantasy too. Don't forget that. So if he gets hurt, then if we're doing fantasy rankings, then if you think someone is injury prone, then I can't put him higher because then if you pick him up on fantasy and he gets hurt, then that ruins the value of them.
Because this is where we think they're going to finish at the end of the season for their rankings.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And you want me to cover Jordan Love now?
Yeah, I would like you to cover Jordan Love.
Jordan Love last season had thrown a lot of picks. I noticed that he could throw touchdowns, but he was kind of like a Dak Prescott. He threw a lot of picks. Dak Prescott, I'd say the 2024 season, he threw a decent amount of picks. I think Jordan Love had that same issue with picks this year. But I definitely do see this turning on me too. I will admit that this one it's a gamble. It could either go right my way or wrong the other way. He was ranked QB 17 just last year. So it's not too crazy either. But it also could flip on me. But high risk, high reward.
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from. And injuries were also a concern too. At week 1, I'm pretty sure he had ruptured his MCL or something for a couple weeks.
I think he also had a shoulder injury, if I'm not mistaken. Or some type of finger.
Then again, with a lot of interceptions, he also came with a lot of touchdowns, which kind of made it break even. And also the addition of Matthew Golden. I think that's good.
Yep.
Having a bunch of wide receivers he could throw to. He's got Golden, Jaden Reed, Dubes, Watson, Dontavian Wicks, Tucker Kraft. He's got plenty of options. So it's
and Josh Jacobs, but that run game could also take away.
Yeah, that's
Josh Jacobs had an amazing season last year. I had him on my team, and I'm telling you, he didn't disappoint. And I can't wait for those wide receiver rankings too, with all the drama with that too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. But Jordan Love, I did have higher. I think he's going to perform pretty well, score a lot of touchdowns, but also I do think he will throw some interceptions, which is why I didn't have him inside my top 10. However, I think Jordan Love is a good quarterback, and he's probably a low-end QB1 for me.
Yeah.
All right, would you like to cover your 15 through 11?
You got to cover yours.
Oh, did I not say my 15 through 11 yet? Or 20 through 16?
I don't think you did.
All right, so at 20, I had Drake May. At 19, I had Trevor Lawrence. At 18, I had Matthew Stafford. At 17, I had Caleb Williams. And at 16, I had Brock Purdy.
we had person I would cover is Trevor Lawrence being higher, because I noticed on my list I had him a little lower. I just want to get your input on what you see in it.
All right, so Trevor Lawrence, he's very high upside due to the weapons he has. He has a very good, promising receiver in Brian Thomas, and a pretty decent receiver as well in Travis Hunter, who's been decent in rookie camps. But also, what holds me back from him is just the injuries. He was injured a lot, had a lot of concussions, which is why I had him a lot lower. However, I think that due to his rushing aspect as well, which is super underrated, and the fact that he had Brian Thomas, who finishes a wide receiver 4 last year, it's just, you'd have to be a really bad quarterback to not succeed with the weapons that you have.
Yep. I have actually a comment on it too. With Travis Hunter, me being on Instagram, scrolling, trying to find some football stuff, I've seen a lot of videos of some drop passes, some stumbling on routes. I wonder, with him being able to be a better cornerback than receiver, I wonder if he goes to cornerback and they have him at cornerback, and then what? All you have is Brian Thomas. So we go back to what we had last year,
which I do believe was around QB 19.
So,
and while I do see your point about Travis Hunter, which we should probably dive into that in another episode, the preseason worries were also there for Jamar Chase. They were worrying that he was dropping the ball a lot. So this all could be a smokescreen, and he could end up being a really good receiver. Or what we see is what actually happens, and he has to switch to corner because he's not as good. He's not going to be as productive as he would.
And that could be also. It could be. That's basically if they switch him to cornerback, that's losing a weapon. That's why I wanted to bring that one up.
One less weapon is not good for Trevor Lawrence, certainly, especially with the loss of Evan Ingram, who's
a really good tight end.
Yeah, he's definitely underrated.
He doesn't get the respect he deserves.
No, he does not. And a lackluster running game.
Yep, Trevor. Yeah, I don't know how they got Trevor Etienne, but that's another episode to handle.
That's another episode to handle indeed. All right, would you like to cover your 15 through 11 now?
15, I had Cam Ward. 14, I had Brock Purdy. 13, I had Kyler Murray. 12, I had Justin Fields. And 11, I had Patrick Mahomes.
Well, first off, Patrick Mahomes, our QB1 outside of our top 10. I have him outside of my top 10 as well. But Justin Fields at 11.
I had him at 12.
You seem to really like him, so I want you to break him down, figure out what you like about him that I don't see.
I'm going to put it like this. Last year when he was starting, he played great. Then, you put him with even better weapons, if you want to say. I mean, not even better, but you still do have Garrett Wilson, who we've seen take passes from anybody and still put up a decent amount of numbers. And also, I think that he got benched last year. He has something to play for now, so I think he definitely will be playing a lot better and making a lot better decisions and leading the Jets to be able to be decent and use his weapon, a little bit of weapons around him. Breece Hall, we've seen him be a good receiving back too. So.
Yeah, and the rushing aspect of the quarterback as well. However, Breece Hall, I think he's going to take away from the running, which would hinder Justin Fields' maximum potential. But nonetheless, I still had him at 15.
Oh, also, another thing is the owners basically said that they just need to get the ball to Garrett Wilson today. I saw a report about that, so they definitely could be a more passing game going to Garrett Wilson. So there's more points for Justin Fields.
And I do see your point, but aside from Garrett Wilson, he doesn't really have any other options. And when you force feed someone like that, it makes it pretty easy for a corner to pick it off, which also gives me concerns. Because while Garrett Wilson is an excellent top 10 wide receiver, in my opinion, you also need other options to throw to, or else it starts to become a little bit predictable and threatening for fantasy.
But do you see them using Justin Fields in the rushing game if they force feed too much and the defense has that game plan?
I do see him being utilized, but not as much as Breece Hall would. and not enough to the point where it makes him a top 11 fantasy caliber quarterback. I think if he did get a pretty good wide receiver too, say they trade for like, I don't know, Cooper Kupp or something like that. Not that that'll ever happen since Seattle just signed him. I think he'd definitely get into my top 10. But then again, he got benched by Russell Wilson for a reason, not one that I'm aware of because Justin Fields seemed to be playing better. And right now he just doesn't have as much weapons as I'd hope he would.
Okay, I can agree with that, but it can come back to bite me. But I'm pretty confident on this one. If I just think that he has something to prove, so I think he's gonna definitely play a lot better than he did last year.
All right, and time for me to cover my 15 through 11. At 15, I had Justin Fields, who we just covered. 14, Jordan Love, who we covered. 13, Kyler Murray. 12, Patrick Mahomes. And 11, Dak Prescott, who we also covered. So I know there's probably someone that sticks out to you, Dak Prescott being pretty high. But I would like to cover base on Patrick Mahomes. Because last year, we had him at 1, but now we have him outside our top 10. So let's just break it down.
I want you to break that one down.
So essentially, Patrick Mahomes, this last year, interceptions was a major concern. Like, he was averaging 1 interception a game, I think. And that's not something you want out of a quarterback. And also just the weapons concerns. Travis Kelce's shown a lot of regression. Xavier Worthy, while I think he's pretty good and he's a very solid deep threat, I don't think he's the best wide receiver you could get.
How's receiver Rice going to come back from his torn ACL?
Not to mention his legal concerns. He may be getting suspended, so we don't even know if he's coming back. And Hollywood Brown, he seems pretty washed up as well. So it's just a giant concern at the receiving.
And what running back you have? Isaiah Pacheco. He's not going to be the best receiving running back ever.
And it's not only just the weapons he has. He just showed a lot of, it wasn't
bad
crazy,
reads.
but it was some pretty rough regression. And I don't think that was just like a 1-year thing. I think he's going to maintain that to the where he's still a pretty good quarterback, but not in the fantasy aspect, if that makes sense. But
like, he can win games, but is he going to put up fantasy points?
Because at the end of the day, while he may be a good game manager, he may not be a good fantasy quarterback. Absolutely. Which is why people like Justin Fields, he may be on like a 7-10 team as high, and people like, I don't know, let's see, Sam Darnold, who's on a pretty decent Seattle team, who might go like 9-8, is so low because of what they could do for fantasy. So that's why Patrick Mahomes is outside of our top 10 and at 12 and wherever you had him.
I had him at 11.
So, yeah, similar rankings. Just because the interceptions, his lack of performance as he did last year. And 12 still a pretty good spot. That's still QB1 caliber. So, yeah, let's break down our top 10 and then
our 6.
Get ready to hear the running back rankings in our next episode.
All right, my 10 through 6. I'll go at 10, I put Justin Herbert. At 9, I put CJ Stroud. At 8, I put Jared Goff. And at 7, I put Bo Nix. And at 6, I put Baker Mayfield.
All right, so our rankings are relatively similar. However, I do want you to break down CJ Stroud. He kind of had a down year last year, and I want to see why we both have him inside our top 10, despite what we saw from the previous year before.
So we see them a lot, a sophomore year slump, but I still think Stroud's a really good quarterback, and I think that he'll bounce back, given that hopefully his O-line can block a lot better. Because if
they did address it pretty well.
They got last year he was getting sacked a whole bunch.
He was the most sacked quarterback in the NFL.
So can we really blame everything on him? What are you supposed to do when
you got 2 seconds
when you
to
snap
throw,
the ball?
You can't read
and as soon as you get it drop back, you're getting hit. There's nothing you can really do about that. They addressed the O-line. We'll hopefully see that they block for him good and he can have more time to be able to make a decent enough read to throw the ball.
I agree.
And I think that's I think no one should be downing him yet. Give it another year with him having a better line.
and I think that his receiving game's pretty well as well.
Yeah, they replaced Stephon Diggs with 2 young receivers who are going to be
Jaden Higgins was a second-round pick, and all of his money was fully guaranteed. So he's got to be good, right?
Yeah, and
Nico Collins, if he's healthy, he's top 10.
And Higgins' teammate, Noel.
Jalen Noel. Yeah, he could be
good.
pretty well as well. And Tank Dell, if he could somehow manage to come back from that horrible injury. Hopefully he's okay from that. And, I mean, even Dalton Schultz. I mean, he's a tight end. He kind of got left out from the offense like we said he would in our tight end rankings.
And we see
but he's
Joe
still
Mixon.
a good quarterback.
And we see Joe Mixon. He's not. He
kind of fell off at the end of the season.
I think this might be the time we don't see a Joe Mixon strong run game. So I think that opens up the pass game more, right?
Yeah, that's exactly correct.
Yeah, I agree.
And with the blocking, I mean, you got to throw it because if they can't block, then you're not going to get any rushing yards. So yeah, I see where you're coming from. That's why I have C.J. Stroud in my top 10 as well. So I'm going to break down my 10 through 6. At 10, I have Bo Nix. 9, I have C.J. Stroud. 8, I have Justin Herbert. 7, I have Jared Goff. And at 6, I have Baker Mayfield.
I want to touch up on Bo Nix. I had him a slight bit higher.
Yeah, both of us had him at QB 32 last year. That really tended to bite us in the butt since he finished as QB 7 last year. But it's not that I don't like Bo Nix. It's just I like other quarterbacks a lot better. Because Bo Nix, he really has Cortland Sutton, who isn't exactly the best wide receiver 1. And really nothing else aside from that. I thought they'd address the passing offense in the draft, but they didn't really pick any receivers. They got Evan Ingram, but he's got some injury concerns. And they did draft a second-round running back in R.J. Harvey, so I feel like they have to utilize him as well. And the top 10 is still pretty well. So I think Bo Nix is going to perform well. I think he's going to do a lot better than what we thought he would last year. And I think he's still going to continue to perform around similar expectations as he got throughout the season. However, I just like these 9 quarterbacks ahead of him more, which is why I threw him at 10.
Yeah, I mean...
So no hate to Bo Nix.
We saw he did it with the targets last year. But also, I do agree there's a lot of quarterbacks that can be better. I just didn't want to make the same mistake again.
Yeah, so I think top 10, it's still very reasonable to put Bo Nix in. However, there's still quarterbacks that I think has a little bit more upside.
I agree.
All right, now finally, for our top 5 quarterbacks, these are the quarterbacks who you should be taking in rounds 2 through 6. These are the quarterbacks that are going to carry your team to the fantasy championship. These are the quarterbacks that I strongly encourage you to draft if they're available and they're at the right spot. So, Keegan, what would you do for your 5 through 1?
At 5, I have Jalen Hurts. At 4, I have Joe Burrow. At 3, I have Jaden Daniels. 2, Lamar Jackson. And 1, Josh Allen.
So our 5 through 1, aside from Jalen Hurts, are interchangeable. So at 5 for me, I had Jalen Hurts. At 4, I had Jaden Daniels. At 3, I had Joe Burrow. At 2, I had Josh Allen. And at 1, I had Lamar Jackson. So really, yours, but 1 and 2 flip-flopped, and 3 and 4 flip-flopped.
Is there anyone you want me to...
I would like you to break down Jaden Daniels and how he's kind of just broken out of what we thought he would. I had him at QB 14, I believe, last year.
I had him.
You had him at QB 26 last year.
Terrible.
We were kind of hating on him.
Terrible mistake. Even though he was my favorite quarterback coming out of the draft, that was a terrible take. But this year, I don't want to make the same mistake, and he led his team to
the NFC championship.
Yep, handled the pressure too. We didn't see him not perform under pressure, so we have nothing really to worry about him performing. I feel like he won't take a sophomore slump because he's more humble and he just didn't get too. He never got too excited when he was in the pocket. He didn't get happy feet and start making bad reads. He always stayed calm, and that makes me feel more comfortable having him because I know he's not gonna stress out in the moment. He's just gonna be calm and do what's the best for him.
And he's got more weapons as well. Terry McLaurin, he finally broke out. They signed Debo, or they traded for Debo Samuel, I believe.
And only for a third? That was a really good trade.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. I don't think you're gonna get a Debo Samuel caliber player in the 3rd round. I've never really understood those trades. They'd be trading like Amari Cooper back when he was good for like a 5th-round pick.
Because those receivers, they are not valued yet. Same with running backs.
Yeah, they deserve to be valued a little bit more. Yeah, Jaden Daniels, he's got incredible rushing aspect, which is really important when you're playing fantasy football, and just the aspect that he's got plenty of weapons to throw to. He's a young, promising sophomore quarterback. I mean, top 4. He's a very good quarterback. Yeah, I completely agree with you.
I have one I want you to talk about. So we had 1 and 2 flip-flopped. I just want you to explain what you see in Lamar being better than Josh Allen this year.
Honestly, just Lamar Jackson, I think he's a better rusher, which I think is very important when it comes to fantasy, especially if it's half PPR, depending on what league you're in. But also his wide receivers as well. Josh Allen, he had Khalil Shakir break out a little bit, but aside from that, he doesn't really have anything. I mean, we thought Dalton Kincaid would be this really great guy, but instead he's kind of just a disappointing first-round pick. And Lamar, he had Zay Flowers, who, while I don't think very highly on him, he's still a pretty good wide receiver. Rashad Bateman, he'd started breaking out at the end of the season, and as well as that, he has Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely at tight end. So he's got some pretty good weapons, but mainly it's his rushing aspect. They're both really good players. I can totally see them being interchangeable. However, Lamar Jackson, just because he's a very good rusher and has better weapons, that's what I think gets him over the edge.
I see the rushing aspect. He's going to rush more yards. I feel like Allen's going to rush for more touchdowns.
Yeah, he's definitely gets a lot more goal line carries. So that's why I think Josh Allen could flip-flop with Lamar. I think our top 5 are pretty set. I think that there's no way that it's not this unless there's a injury that surprises. But
I think the top 5, however the top 5 goes, I feel like it's just these people are absolutely untouchable there.
So let's run back our rankings 32 through 1. I'll say mine real quick. 32, I had Mason Rudolph for the Steelers, assuming Aaron Rodgers doesn't come. 31, I have Tyler Shuck for New Orleans. 30, I have Anthony Richardson for the Colts. 29, I have Joe Flacco for the Browns. 28, I have J.J. McCarthy for the Vikings. 27, I had Cameron Ward from the Titans. 26, I had Michael Penix from the Falcons. 25, I had Geno Smith from the Raiders. Russ at 24 from the Giants. At 23, I had Bryce Young. 22, Sam Darnold. 21, Tua Tagovailoa. 20, Drake May. 19, Trevor Lawrence. 18, Matthew Stafford. 17, Caleb Williams. 16, Brock Purdy. 15, Justin Fields. 14, Jordan Love. 13, Kyler Murray. 12, Pat Mahomes. 11, Dak. 10, Bo Nix. 9, CJ Stroud. 8, Herbert. 7, Jared Goff. 6, Baker Mayfield. 5, Jalen Hurts. 4, Jaden Daniels. 3, Joe Burrow. 2, Josh Allen. And 1, Lamar Jackson. I highly recommend that top 18 group being drafted. 19 through 32, those are kind of the guys where it's like someone's hurt and you need a free agent off the waiver wire. So I strongly encourage you to draft that top 18, top 16. And you want to recap yours real quick?
At 32, I have Mason Rudolph. 31, I have Tyler Sugg. 30, I have Joe Flacco. 29, I have J.J. McCarthy. 28, I have Michael Penix Jr. 27, I have Anthony Richardson. 26, I have Sam Darnold. 25, I have Geno Smith. 24, I have Drake May. 23, I have Russell Wilson. 22, I have Tua Tagovailoa. 21, I have Trevor Lawrence. 20, I have Dak Prescott. 19, I have Bryce Young. 18, I have Matthew Stafford. 17, I have Jordan Love. 16, I have Caleb Williams. 15, I have Cam Ward. 14, I have Brock Purdy. 13, I have Kyler Murray. 12, I have Justin Fields. 11, I have Patrick Mahomes. 10, I have Justin Herbert. 9, I have CJ Stroud. 8, I have Jared Goff. 7, I have Bo Nix. Baker Mayfield at number 6. At 5, I have Jalen Hurts. 4, I have Joe Burrow. Jaden Daniels at number 3. 2, I have Lamar Jackson. And finally, at number 1, I have Josh Allen.
So, yeah, that concludes our quarterback rankings episode. The running back rankings episode will be dropping soon. And we'll be covering wide receivers, wide receiver 2s, tight ends. every single position that is applicable for fantasy aside from the IDPs. And I thank you for listening to this video. We'll be back with some more content, and make sure to check out the
Everything Sports Pod.
the Everything Sports podcast run by Keeghan and a collaboration podcast will be dropping soon. Name to be determined. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.